The tension between North Korea and the United States escalated again today. Pyongyang now says it's exploring ways to strike Guam, a tiny U.S. territory in the South Pacific, home to 2 American military bases and a Coast Guard station. And the threat came on the same day that the U.S. Secretary of State happened to be visiting the island. Jackson Prosco reports on the emergency efforts to ease the escalation of fire and fury.
With the U.S. territory of Guam the potential target of a North Korean missile strike, the American Secretary of State arrived and tried to ratchet down the tension.
I think Americans should sleep well at night, have no concerns about this particular rhetoric of the last few days.
That rhetoric coming directly from his boss, the commander-in-chief. Just yesterday, President Donald Trump unleashed a raging rant in response to reports North Korea has a missile-ready nuclear weapon.
They will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power, the likes of which this world has never seen before.
So I think what the president was doing is sending a strong message to North Korea in language that Kim Jong-un would understand.
But reports suggest Trump's fiery language wasn't planned or vetted by U.S. officials. There was no strategy. The president simply decided to wing it.
It's an incredibly destabilizing statement because either he's threatening that we're going to have a catastrophic war that would take the lives of hundreds of thousands of people potentially, or he's just making an empty threat.
That's a dangerous play against a regime whose actions are often unpredictable and whose long-term intentions are unknown.
The things that we don't know about the North Korean regime can fill a book. What they are doing probably seems rational to them, but I think it's very difficult for us to break into that mindset and figure out how they are looking at things and what our responses look like to them.
President Trump's strategy remains equally mysterious. In the past, he's urged China to deal with its troublesome neighbor. So far, that hasn't worked. In a 1999 interview, Trump addressed the idea of a preemptive strike.
You say that you, as president, would be willing to launch a preemptive strike against North Korea's nuclear capability.
First, I'd negotiate. I would negotiate like crazy, and I'd make sure that we tried to get the best deal possible.
Then, as now, there are no good options. A military strike would jeopardize millions of lives in and around the Korean peninsula. But the president's alarming choice of words has once again raised the specter of direct confrontation instead of diplomacy.
It certainly doesn't help with our discussion with North Korea. It raises doubt in China and in our allies' minds, South Korea and Japan, about what our policy really is.
Knowing what we now know about North Korea's ability to attach a nuclear weapon to a missile, experts now believe the U.S. will be watching any future missile launches very closely, looking to see not only where the missile is headed, but also what, if anything, it might be carrying. Robin.
Jackson Prosco in Washington. As mentioned, the tiny island of Guam is a U.S. territory in the western Pacific Ocean. It's about 3,300 kilometers southeast of Pyongyang, well within the range of North Korean missiles. About 163,000 people live on Guam, which is just 20 kilometers at its widest point. The American air base there is equipped with the U.S. Army's missile shield system. It can blow missiles out of the sky before they reach their intended target.